pool club. With a neat shot, the colorful pool balls scatter instantly. The person hitting the ball does not pause, and every shot is accompanied by the sound of a ball entering the pocket. His smooth movements make you unable to take your eyes off of him. Watching Artem play pool is a feast for their eyes. On the night of one of your off days, you and Artem once again head to the pool club, which he joined because of work. The members of this billiard club are all involved in Sally's legal circle, thus Artem also joined this club to do some networking. After the pool game he previously won, you both gradually become regulars.
나이스!
The audience exclamations manage to drag your wandering thoughts back to the pool table in front of you. There is only one ball left before the player runs the table or pockets every ball in a single turn. The person at the center of everyone's attention doesn't continue standing up instead. Some impatient onlookers are dissatisfied with the pause and call for him to hurry up. However, he turns a deaf ear to their words and only frowns slightly as if he has encountered a problem. Is the last ball difficult to hit? You only know a little bit about pool, but judging by Artem's expression, you're sure the situation is still under his control.
왜요?
He notices your gaze and turns his head slightly, glancing at you with a slightly inquiring look. It's nothing.
조금 긴장한 것 같은데요.
What started as a casual game for fun ended up drawing all the attention in the room due to Artem's superb skill. He seems used to this kind of attention, but that just makes you, the outsider, even more anxious. Yes, a little.
내가 한 말 기억해요? 당신의 시선 아래에 있는 게 내 가장 큰 행운이라고 했잖아요.
The memory of that night resurfaced. All the enthusiasm and determination rise up again in his eyes, transferring straight to your heart.
그러니까 날 믿고 지켜봐줘요.
Artem puts the cue chalk down, lifts the cue, and leans down on one smooth motion. He focuses his eye on his target, then, as though tracing a precisely drawn blueprint, the 9 ball sails along a perfectly smooth trajectory and enters the pocket. The game wraps up with a perfect conclusion. When all the onlookers have finally left, Arthur puts down the cue, washes his hand, and sits down next to you.
이야, 타이밍 딱 맞춰왔네.
You hear a familiar teasing voice. It's coming from a rather surprising but not totally unexpected visitor. Celestine, you're here too?
가끔 한 번씩 오는데 이렇게 환상적인 게임을 보게 될 줄이야. 너 아니었으면 백은우가 이렇게 멋진 플레이를 펼치진 않았겠지?
Artem clears his throat quietly and his ears turn slightly red. Even so, he doesn't refute Celestine's words.
가끔은 관중도 쇼의 일부니까요.
Celestine seems to be very satisfied with Artem's reaction and doesn't continue to tease him. Instead, she glances at the two of you with a knowing smile.
그래서 오늘은 대회 때문에 연습하는 거야?
Huh? What tournament? Practicing?
클럽에서 이번에 아마추어 혼성당구 대회를 연다던데. 둘이 나가기로 해서 연습하고 있는 줄 알았지. 아직 모르고 있었나 보네?
Yeah.
오늘 말할 생각이었어요. 뭐 지금은 굳이 말 안 해도 될 것 같지만요.
Artem glances at Celestine. The sudden realization of her faux pas is written all over her face. She hurriedly waves her hand.
아유, 내 정신 좀 봐. 인사만 하러 온 건데. 그럼 난 지섭 씨가 기다려서 이만 가볼게. 내일 사무실에서 봐.
Here's Celestine, see you tomorrow. After bidding farewell to Celestine, Artem shakes his head and looks at you. He seems resigned about having his plan disrupted. He takes your hand and rubs his other arm around your back as if he's hugging you.
자세한 건 지민 선배한테 대충 들은 것 같고. 그래서 나랑 같이 대회 나갈래요?
I know it's just an exhibition tournament, but I only just started playing pool. Will it be really? His gaze falls on you, as if he's already seen through all of your thoughts. His long fingers brush over the skin between your thumb and forefinger soothingly.
그게 걱정이었어요? 괜찮아요. 그때까지 아직 시간이 있으니까 내가 가르쳐 줄게요. 그리고 지금까지 해온 걸 봐서는 당구에 소질이 있는 것 같아요. 분명 금방 늘 거예요.
He gently squeezes your hand. There is an unmistakable look of anticipation in his eyes. Tears break out not far from you. It seems that another amazing shot was delivered. As you listen to the crisp sound of the ball rolling into the pocket, your determination gradually solidifies. If you say so, then of course I have to participate. But I'm going to need a lot of guidance from you as my teacher, Coach Wing. I'm a complete newbie.
그래요. 그럼 잘 부탁해요, 학생.
These simple words reveal how much he is willing to indulge you. The overhead light flickers for a few seconds at just the right time. Perhaps the voltage is unstable. Either way, it conceals your suddenly accelerated heartbeat and your irrepressible smile. So, should we start practicing now?
급할 것 없어요.
He changes the subject and points to the pool equipment store nearby.
며칠 동안 플레이하는 걸 봤는데 큐대가 좀 불편해 보이더라고요. 대회도 나가야 하니까 개인 큐대가 있는 게 좋을 것 같아요. 다행히 이쪽에 전문용품점이 있네요. 같이 가서 골라볼래요?
Here, I still remember our previous agreement to go pick out a cue together. Artem had brought it up when he taught you how to play pool for the first time, and it just so happens that you both have time today. The equipment store isn't far from the pool room, so you arrive there quickly. Pool and snooker store. The employee enthusiastically explains how the products are organized within the store, then considerately leaves you to it. Don't they usually help customers pick stuff out? Is it because she knows that Artem is a really good player, so she won't have to worry?
선호하는 스타일 있어요?
Well, I haven't even played enough to know. Why don't you help me pick one?
그럼 그립감부터 보고 사이즈를 골라볼까요?
Sure. Artem nods slightly. His gaze roves over the displays for a while. He then picks up a cue, grabbing a chunk of cue chalk as well. With the sleeves of his shirt casually rolled up, he leans slightly against the edge of the table, holding the cue in one hand. The dim light blurs the edges of the shadows of both him and the cue, as though nothing else around you matters right now.
아직 입문한 지 얼마 안 돼서 단단하고 탄력 있는 큐대가 좋겠어요. 끝이 당구공이랑 닿는 면적이 넓어서 컨트롤이 편할 거예요.
You nod without thinking too much about it. Rather than listening to Artem's advice, you are more inclined to appreciate the scene in front of you. Same.
이론만 말하니까 안 와닿죠? 한번 써보면 무슨 말인지 알 거예요.
Artem lowers his head slightly. His fangs fell down naturally, swaying slightly as he rubs cue chalk on the tip of the cue.
그 전에 우선 한번 테스트 해볼게요.
Okay. The sound of the cue chalk rubbing against the tip reaches your ears. It feels like there's an unbroken thread connecting the two of you. He leans down on the table in a smooth motion and decisively takes a shot. The ball he was aiming at falls into the pocket with a satisfying sound.
그립감도 괜찮네요. 당신도 와서 해봐요.
If you recommend it, Artem, then it must be really high quality.
사람마다 느낌이 다를 수 있어요. 나도 그냥 경험상 판단한 것뿐이고요.
You take the cue and lean over the table, but Artem doesn't let go. Instead, he holds you in his arms in a partial embrace.
지금 동작으로는 힘이 부족할 거라 도와줄게요.
You don't know if Artem simply has good taste or if his skills really are outstanding. He guides you to hit two balls in a row, then both sails right into the pocket. This cue is really nice. I feel like it has a lot of good luck stored in it too. You weigh the cue in your hands, feeling increasingly sure that this one's the perfect one for you. I think I'll pick this one. It feels really good in my hands.
좋아요. 그럼 이번 백은 후의 추천은 성공인가요?
Yep, thank you, Coach Wei, for your enthusiastic recommendation. Artem says nothing. Instead, he smiles and pulls you closer with a gentle force. Palms grazing each other, barely touching. That's the etiquette Artem sticks to you with you in public eyes. It's also the type of intimacy that hopelessly draws you in. In the noisy club, no one will notice the interludes taking place in this corner, nor the thoughts shared without words. Pool Club. Since you decided to participate in the tournament, you and Artem have been coming to the pool club more and more frequently. Soon it is time to sign up for the tournament.
두 분도 당구 대회 신청하러 오셨나요?
네. 어떻게 신청하는지 알고 싶은데요.
네. 대회 안내는 팸플릿을 참고해 주세요. 대회 신청하시기 전에 미리 안내 드릴게요. 이번 경기는 공 15개로 진행하는데 문제 없으실까요?
The staff hands you the competition manual and gives you a serious look to confirm everything.
네, 괜찮습니다.
Perhaps there were some misunderstandings before because the staff member repeatedly emphasized this before starting to explain the rules of the competition in detail.
네. 그럼 프로세스는 대충 이렇게 되고요. 보고 문제 없으시면 팀 이름이랑 로고를 정해주시면 됩니다.
팀 이름이랑 로고요?
All things considered, it seems like this tournament is pretty formal.
아이디어 있어요?
I don't have any good ideas at the moment. What about you?
그럼 일단 다른 팀 이름 보고 고민해 보자고요.
Sure, good idea. The information about the teams that have already registered isn't confidential. You and Artem take the booklet aside and look through it carefully. The first few you see are fine, but as you go further, you find that team names get more and more strange. Pool pros, right. Art attorneys at ball. Behind these strange names are seniors in the legal field, people you are at least somewhat familiar with. You can't help but have the urge to fist palm. I thought everyone's team's names would be more serious and formal.
다들 진지해 보였는데 이런 면도 있으시다니. 사실 이 말이 하고 싶은 거겠죠?
Artem's words have a teasing quality, while his expression is very relaxed. Even though that's exactly how I feel, I could never be that direct. They're all my seniors after all. Oh, I forgot, those people aren't exactly seniors for Artem. You definitely can't let Artem know what you're thinking. With that, you clear your throat, take his hand, and change the topic. We had a pretty good look already. Let's go sign up.
팀 이름은 정했어요?
Let's think of one when we register. As long as I can play in this tournament with you, I don't mind what we call ourselves. Before taking the registration form from the staff member, Artem bends down as he reaches out. He speaks in your ear at a volume only you can hear.
맞아요.
Whole club. After submitting your selected team name and logo,
등록은 잘 끝났고 앞으로의 일정은 최대한 빨리 공유 드릴게요.
네, 수고하세요.
so what are we going to do now?
저녁 예약 시간까지 아직 좀 남았는데 더 연습하다 갈까요?
I like that. His breath blows across your cheek like the evening breeze. As you gaze into Artem's gentle eyes, you're looking forward to the upcoming tournament even more. Pool Club. With a crisp sound, the 8-ball rolls neatly into the pocket, announcing the opponent's victory. The audience breaks into loud applause, but you can only serve silently in this atmosphere. I was so close to getting the 8-ball, but I can't believe I made a mistake on the last ball. It's okay, we only lost 1 point. We're still leading in points so far. Following Artem's calm words, he grabs your hand that is not holding the cue. It feels as if it's the most natural thing on earth. He gently brushes away the cue chalk on your fingertips, and your slightly stiff fingers relax with his massage. It's my fault. I got a little distracted at the end. I thought we'd have a chance to win all of our games today. Are you a little tired from how long the games have been going on? You can rely more on your instincts in the next round. Give your brain a chance to relax. Even if you don't do too much calculation, most of your shots are still really skilled. If you say so, I'm just going to follow my heart. Yes, just do whatever feels right. Take another break. The game with the next duo is going to start soon. The lighting in the venue reflects brightly in Artem's clear eyes, indicating his unwavering trust in your abilities. Under this gaze, you calm yourself down and feel sufficiently confident in the subsequent games. Sure, we'll definitely get this point back later. Pool Club.
첫날 경기가 끝났는데 어땠어요?
Artem rotates his wrist and quietly takes the ball bucket from your hand. It's hard to say.
왜요?
Artem shifts the ball bucket from his right hand to his left hand and walks to your other side. Because now that I'm trying to recall what I was thinking before I hit each ball, I realized I can't remember anything. It was like my mind went blank. Maybe it's because I was really nervous.
그것 때문만은 아닐 거예요. 당구를 시작한 지 얼마 안 돼서 경험과 기술보다는 감을 따르는 경우가 많죠. 공을 치기 전에 이리저리 궁리하기보다는 잡념을 버리고 바로 치는 게 나을 수도 있어요.
In just a few words, he has cut straight to the point. Yeah, I feel like I didn't have time to think. Isn't that bad?
괜찮아요. 초보자라 어색할 수도 있지만 그것도 나름대로 장점이 있어요.
Artem doesn't continue talking. He puts the ball in your court and guides you to think on your own. Benefits to being a new player. Is it because I rely on intuition so my playstyle isn't easy to pinpoint?
맞아요. 때론 그런 플레이 방식으로 판이 뒤집힐 때가 있거든요.
So that's why we didn't strategize before our games, and here I was thinking you just had faith in me.
믿고 안 믿고는 자유롭게 플레이하도록 두는 거랑 다르지 않나요?
His words are light, but within them lies his full confidence in his own skills. He believes that no matter what kind of situation you create, he can solve it. Perhaps it's a little brazen to say so, but because it's Artem, it feels natural and right to you. You suddenly remember how Artem employed a quick playstyle, aiming to run the table in the later part of the game just now. It was a big change from his usual playstyle, thinking carefully before striking each ball. You were initially confused at the time, but now it seems like he was trying to break the stalemate. So that's why you changed your playstyle later in the game? You voice your confusion. Artem rotates his wrist again, looking a little surprised.
네. 아직 안 지쳤으면 오늘 시합 한번 간단하게 돌려보는 거 어때요? 보면서 경기 시작 전에는 어떤 생각이었는지 되짚어보면 해결 방법을 찾아낼 수도 있을 거예요.
You're a little confused by Artem's sudden suggestion, but it's immediately far from unreasonable. Okay, let's watch it together. Artem's home theater. After a brief rest in the lounge, you and Artem head to the video room together. While Artem is preparing, you stab a piece of fruit with a fork and move it to his mouth. He takes a bite without even looking. By the way, is every game we play recorded?
네. 아마추어 대회여도 형식은 다 갖췄더라고요. 다시 보고 싶다고 하니까 바로 파일을 받을 수 있었어요.
I see. Is the fruit sweet? Artem smiles and nods, turns around, then sits down on the sofa next to you. He places his arms on the backrest so you can lean against him more comfortably.
시작하네요.
With a brisk sound, Artem's figure appears on the screen. In the image, his lips are slightly pressed together. He looks rather different from normal. Regardless of skill or anything else, his attitude and aura make me feel like his victory is already guaranteed. The hand intertwining with your own at this moment is holding a cue on the screen. Even though you were present at the game, you still can't help but hold your breath. Coincidentally, the Artem in the image is raising his head and looking at you from inside the screen. The razor-sharp calmness in his eyes makes your heart skip a beat. This emotion seems to last only a moment for him. Soon after, he leans forward again, then expertly run the table until it is completely empty. Amazing! Perhaps because it's only you to hear now, you vocalize all your wonder and admiration without restraint. The applause and cheers in the background, you can't help but feel a little proud while Artem taps the area between your eyebrows with resignation.
스킬이랑 우리 팀워크가 어떤지 잘 봐요.
Okay, Kushwin. You try to calm down and watch the video, but you notice details that you hadn't noticed during the game. Artem didn't show much satisfaction after his wonderful shot. Instead, he just adjusted his gloves. And with his subtle adjustment, you can clearly see suspicious red marks on his palm through the sliver of exposed skin. Your hand. Before Artem can react, you grab his hand and pull it in front of you. The red marks in the video were no illusion. Now that he has taken off his gloves, the red marks at the base of his fingers are very obvious, almost as if they were constricted. Are you injured? You can't help but blame yourself a little. He kept adjusting his glove late into the game, and he's been avoiding applying forces with his right hand ever since the game ended. In addition, he rotates his wrist several times. There were so many telltale signs, but you didn't even notice them at the time. Is that why you ended the game so quickly? Were you worried that you wouldn't be able to keep playing if the game went on for much longer?
아니, 그게 아니라 걱정 마요. 이럴까봐 말 안 한 건데 그냥 장갑을 오래 껴서 생긴 자국이에요.
You caress the mark suspiciously, trying to judge the authenticity of his words from his expression and reaction.
후반부에 빨리 친 건 장갑 때문에 손이 불편했던 것도 있지만 사실 별거 아니라서 말 안 했어요. 괜히 경기하는데 신경 쓰일까 봐요.
Are you really okay? You move in, following the contours of his skin as you take a closer look. You're still a little worried. He frowns slightly, and a suspicious blush rises up on his cheeks. Before you can say anything, he suddenly turns the tables and pulls your palm close to him. His palm is soft and warm, his fingers firm and strong, silently probing his words. I believe you. As long as you're okay. But you should still tell me next time. We can work through it together.
알았어요. 다음부턴 안 숨길게요.
Artem turns around and looks at you, his profile hidden in the dim light, but you can still feel the sincerity and seriousness in his tone. On the screen, the game is still going on. You clench your fist quietly, feeling Artem's lingering warmth on your palm. And in the dim room, it seems that your cheeks aren't the only things heating up.
나랑 결혼보겠다고요? 그럼 뭘 걸지 잘 생각해 봐요.
Full club. Hearing your opponent's quiet cheers, you stand by the table and stare stubbornly at the remaining two balls for a long time. If I had noticed that there was another ball on the path during the shot before, the situation wouldn't have become such a mess. You silently review that critical mistake and go over it multiple times in your head, imagining what the game would have been like without that slip up. Even though you know that mistakes are inevitable in this kind of setting, you can't help but feel a little upset. The game is over. There's no point in going over it again and again. You take a deep breath and finally look away from the table. You look around but don't see Artem. The next game will start soon. Has Artem gone outside? Could there be something wrong? Even though we just lost, nothing really went wrong during the game. Maybe Artem just had to step outside for something. Maybe I'm just on edge right now. Watching as the audience constantly falls in and out during the intermission, you push down your uneasiness and return to wait at a round table set up for participants to rest. When you bend down to pick up your glass of water on the table, you realize that the glass is already empty. I sure do drink a lot of water when I'm nervous. Time to get some more water. Is something the matter, Shara? You're back. I'm fine. I just ran out of water. I could ask you the same. Did something happen? I saw that your water glass was empty. The game was a bit intense and you were a little tired, so I went to buy a cup of coffee. Only then do you realize that Artem has a cup of coffee in his hand. He hands the coffee to you and takes the empty glass from your hand. I saw that you were still focused on going over the game earlier, so I didn't tell you where I was going. Did I make you worried? Now I know that even if something goes wrong, you'll be able to handle it. We just finished such a difficult game. I kind of wanted to see you right now, right away. Artem laughs and nods solemnly. Okay, next time I will wait until you finish your review and we'll go together. By the way, you were looking at it so intensely. Were you still thinking about the shot you missed? Yeah, I think if I look a little more closely before I made the shot, the situation wouldn't have played out like it did. Mistakes like that are common even in professional competitions, so don't beat yourself up over it. You follow Artem and sit down. Lowering your head, you take a sip of the coffee as it warms your hand. But it looks like you might have found a way to overcome it. The warm coffee slips between your lips and flows into your stomach. It eases your feelings of irritation and dissipates the fatigue caused by the long game. Its heat reaches the bottom of your heart, just like Atom's gentle yet firm question. With it, you gain a resolute confidence. Yep, next time these kind of things happen, I'll go over it in my mind a few more times to make sure the path is clear. Don't worry, I won't make the same mistakes again. I have full confidence in you. The next game will be against the same opponents again, and it won't be easy. Let's rest up a bit. The aroma of the coffee sticks to your lips, and you suddenly lick it away. You then grab onto Artem, who is about to turn around and get some water. Artem looks at you, surprised, and you bring the coffee to his lips. Okay, if you want to rest, let's rest together. Don't keep running around trying to do stuff. There are only a few games left. We'll be fine against our previous opponents or even better teams. Corridor. Perhaps the extra training last night was particularly useful. Although the tournament is growing increasingly intense, you and Artem continue to advance without any issues. You lean against the wall, swiping through your phone as you wait for Artem to confirm the results of the game.
변호사님, 여기서 혼자 뭐 하세요?
You feel a jolt when you hear that voice.
차은재, 너무 오지랖 아니야?
Another persistent voice accompanies it. Now you have to put down your phone and look at the two old acquaintances in front of you. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Fetter, are you also participating in the tournament? Actually, you'd already discovered that they were participating when you checked the score sheet yesterday. However, rather than answering his question, it's much easier to avoid unnecessary complications by feigning ignorance.
그럼요. 상품이 무려 오펜 라햄의 국제법의 역사 원본인데 안 오면 바보죠.
As a famous legal expert, Oberleimer is a name that every legal practitioner is very familiar with. And the book he compiled, History of International Law, is a cornerstone for the study of law and a must-read for every law student. Ever since you were in school, you've heard that the original German version has been out of print for a long time and is therefore priceless. Since Celestine and Arthur both mentioned this tournament is only for fun, you never asked what the prizes were. No wonder so many of the lawyers participating in the tournament are big names in the industry. It looks like they were all drawn in by the book's reputation. Artem has always enjoyed reading German law books. He'll definitely be really happy if we win the book together.
두 분도 상품 때문에 온 거 아닌가요? 안타깝지만 제가 있어서 어렵게 됐네요.
Howard, who has been silent up till now, abruptly interrupts William.
복식 경기인데 너 때문만은 아니지 않나? 나윤성 변호사가 그 책이 갖고 싶다고 안 했으면 여기서 시간 낭비하지도 않았을 거야.
무슨 얘기 중이에요?
It's better not to let Artem know that I already know what the prize is. I should work hard first, then surprise him later. After all, if everyone is actually serious about winning, the pressure will definitely be high. As Artem walks over, you subconsciously decide that you don't want to tell him about the history of international law book. You quickly change the subject. If you give the book to Miss Wordsworth and she asks who's it from, what are you going to say? After all, you two would have worked together to win it.
당연히 나라고 해야죠.
당연히 저죠.
왜 그쪽이야? 나 아니었으면 이런 대회가 있는 줄도 몰랐잖아.
내가 안 왔으면 혼자 참가지도 못했을 거 아니야.
My god, seeing that they are potentially gearing up for a prolonged fight, you grab Artem and quietly move away. Pool Club.
아까 무슨 일이었어요?
Artem is confused but still lets you pull him along. He doesn't ask for the whole story until you return to the pool room. They just started acting like that the moment I mentioned Ingrid. He nods in understanding and doesn't ask any further questions. He is obviously fully aware of their typical behavior.
힘들지 않아요? 집에 갈까요?
I'm not tired. You shake your head and move the scattered balls one by one back to the center of the table, preparing to place them in a triangle again. I want to practice a little longer. As the tournament progresses, the competition will only become more intense. If you want to win the book for Artem, you have to work harder than you have been.
갑자기요?
That reaction makes me think you feel like I haven't been practicing enough.
그런 뜻이 아니라
Artem raises his hands to show his innocence. He then takes the remaining balls from your hands and helps you place them.
그럼 제대로 연습해봐요. 내가 세팅해줄게요.
Thank you. I have a feeling that I'll be able to run the table tonight. You aim and take the shot over and over again. However, you keep making mistakes. The bold words you just proclaimed to Artem are on the verge of turning into an embarrassing joke. I kind of wanted to take back what I said about running the table. You've lost count of how many times Artem has replaced the balls for you, but you still haven't managed to run the table yet. What's worse, your cue holding hand is gradually growing sore. I'll just finish this game. You take another shot and the ball goes into the pocket. As you are about to aim for the next ball, Artem suddenly walks over and breaks his long stretch of silence.
잠깐만요.
He takes the cue out of your hand. Maintaining that position, he gently presses down on the area between your shoulder and neck, which is currently aching.
여기가 좀 아프죠?
Yeah, how did you know?
아까 공이 굴러가는 궤도랑 당신이 친 방향이 틀어진 걸 보니 힘을 잘못 준 것 같아서요. 게다가 조금 전엔 옆에 있던 공을 넣는 게 더 쉬웠을 텐데 이 공을 맞추더라고요. 힘을 이쪽으로 안 쓰려고 하다 보니 그런 거죠.
His tone is light and you can't tell whether he is happy or not. However, the undercurrent of emotion in his case makes you feel a little guilty.
연습량이 부족하다고 생각한 적 없어요. 오히려 걱정될 정도인 거려. 지금처럼 몸도 불편한데 나 때문에 참고 연습할까 봐요.
Artem, you were just joking, but Artem replies you so seriously, sincerely laying out his worries and concerns. I know, but I just want to end this round and call it a night. I'm not planning on pushing myself. Artem nods, but his hands don't stop moving. As his strong hands give you a massage, your sore muscles gradually relax.
여기가 불편한 것도 사실 큐대를 잡을 때 힘을 잘못 줘서 그래요. 이렇게
Perhaps thinking that words alone are not clear enough, Artem hugs you from behind and presses his shoulder against yours.
올바른 방법은 이렇게 하는 거예요.
The thin fabric between you two can't block the sensation of muscles contracting and bones moving. You can feel every subtle change in his body at such a close distance. Artem doesn't seem to want to hide it either, and his presence envelops you.
연습하다 보면 감이 올 거예요.
Okay, I'll try it again.
서두르지 말아요. 그리고 계속 연습하기 전에 하나만 대답해줘요. 왜 갑자기 이렇게 열심히인 거예요? 아까 바델 쪽 사람들이 뭐라고 하던가요?
It turns out he kept silent not because he believed you, but because he was waiting for a more suitable time to extract a witness statement. As expected of Artem, he can't be fooled easily at all. About that, I would like to exercise my right to remain silent and keep this confidential for now. You turn around, take his arm, and shake it gently. Artem looks at you and laughs in resignation.
알겠어요. 묵비권 존중하죠.
Although you've overcome this challenge, there is still a long way to go before the final surprise. Fortunately, your companion will face all obstacles along you as you both move toward the finish line together.
초크를 묻히는 것도 요령이 있어요. 손 줘봐요. 가르쳐 줄게요.
Whole club. After the quarterfinals, the opponents you encounter are also getting more and more formidable. Although you and Artem have successfully advanced, you have even less reason to relax as the crux of the tournament draws near. In order to learn more about your opponents, you and Artem stay and watch their practice games even after your own games are over. Ah, what a pity. Why did they make a mistake there? The two teams are competing nearby. Unfortunately, just as the team that went first was about to win that game, they made a small mistake which gave their opponents a chance to counterattack. Artem, do you think they can make use of this opportunity? You turn your head and realize that Artem is already looking at you, seemingly deep in thought.
구기 종목에서 유행하는 말이 있죠. 좋은 기회를 놓치면 기회와 경기로부터 이중 처벌을 받게 될 거라고요.
Almost as Artem finished speaking, the crisp sound of a ball falling into the pocket can be heard, indicating that the opposing team has evened the score again. The advantage accumulated by a team that went first instantly vanished. Both sides have returned to the same starting line. I didn't realize it before, but pool is actually a really exciting sport.
긴장돼요?
A little. After all, they may also become our opponents in the future.
듣고 보니까 내 실력을 크게 믿진 않나 보네요.
He solemnly imitates what you say before, instantly causing your nervous mood to dissipate. Now that you are feeling more relaxed, an interesting thought comes to mind. It doesn't feel like we're involved at all when we just watch like this. How about we make a bet?
내기요? 누가 이길지 내기하자는 거예요?
Well, not only would it make us more involved in the game, but would also make things more fun. It's a win-win. Upon hearing this, Artem's interest seems to be piqued as well. He turns slightly and leans in closer to you.
뭘 걸 건데요?
Money would be too cliche. I know. The person who loses has to carry the winner home on their back.
자신 있어요? 의심하는 게 아니라 날 업으려면 꽤 힘들 텐데요.
Don't be so quick to assume that I'll lose. Maybe you'll be carrying me home. It's time to test your physical strength.
그렇다면 좋아요. 내기하죠.
You hear the sound of the ball scattering. The final game has begun.
당신은 누가 이길 것 같아요?
It was just a bet that you proposed in the heat of the moment, but once you have to make a choice, you can't help but hesitate. The team that goes first has been playing steadily so far and is obviously better than their opponent. If it weren't for the small mistakes just now, the game would have been over long ago. Although the other team has constantly been at a disadvantage, they have maintained an unruffled state of mind. They are still giving their all at every opportunity. Just who will win this round? I think the team that goes first will win. After all, they only made a small mistake just now. It's not like they're a bad team. As long as they learn their lesson, they'll definitely win this time.
좋아요. 그럼 난 그 반대팀에 걸게요.
Artem's casual attitude ignites your competitive spirit, and you suddenly cheer for your chosen team. However, things don't go as planned. The team you selected makes repeated mistakes and is about to hand the victory to the other team. Dang it! You sighed and muttered something in a low voice, but it's too soft for Artem to hear. He leans in a little bit closer.
뭐라고요?
It's just that this game is so long that I'm getting sleepy watching it. You were going to say that it's nothing, but ended up making an excuse instead, trying to wriggle out of the bed she just made. What a terrible excuse. Why would Artem ever believe it? I should just willingly admit defeat.
아,
He looks at his watch, frowns slightly, then looks at you.
시간이 늦긴 했네요. 그럼 먼저 갈까요?
Huh? Artem seems to have no suspicions at all. He stands up and picks up all your things.
집에 가자고요. 좀 쉬어야 하잖아요.
Huh? Oh, okay. Things have taken a sudden turn, and Artem is acting as though nothing happened. Despite your confusion, you still follow him to the parking lot to get the car. Parking lot. The huge parking lot is quiet and deserted. You look at Artem, who is walking half a step in front of you. Just as you are secretly feeling thankful that you got out of the bed, he suddenly stops. The next second, he suddenly half kneels with his back towards you and lightly pats his own shoulder.
자, 업어줄게요.
He looks back at you, his voice as calm as ever, but you are unable to accept the sight before you. According to the bet we just made, I should be the one to.
그거랑은 상관없어요. 힘들다면서요. 그리고 아까 내기한 건 당신이 업히고 싶어서 그런 거 아니에요? 응? 내 말이 틀렸나요?
He smiles in resignation and moves to stand up. Since there's no time to lose, you immediately wrap your arms around his neck and lean your whole body against his. I never said I didn't want to try it out.
그럼 더 꽉 안아요. 불편하면 말하고요.
Will do. He steadies you, then stands up firmly, striding forward with long steps. Are you really going to carry me home? It's not that I don't want you to. Just don't force yourself.
알아요.
You lean in and listen to the rhythmic sound coming from his chest. You actually start to feel a little sleepy. Before you slowly close your eyes, you can hear his soft voice, like the most calming lullaby in the world.
며칠 동안 고생 많았어요. 푹 쉬어요. 당구 칠 때 집중하는 비결은 당신이 내 곁에 있다고 생각하는 거예요.
Pool Club. You're still processing what just happened as Artem puts down his cue and walks towards you. Artem's shot just now was very cleverly planned, but they still saw through it. You already played against your opponents in the semifinals during the group stage. However, their style today is completely different from 3 days ago. Almost every shot they take is defensive, to the point that it is impossible to breach. It's as if they designed their plays specifically against Artem. Have they been studying Artem's play style the past few days? Even Artem, typically a master at keeping his expression in check, is now frowning due to how much the other team has been breathing down your necks. You inevitably take a few steps in his direction, stretching out your hand. You take hold of his hand as he stands still. These past 2 games have been so intense. They seem to know your playstyle inside and out. What shall we do? Perhaps sensing the excessive concern in your anxious question, Artem doesn't answer you directly. Instead, he leads you to sit down at a round table nearby. The warm pads of his fingers rub against the back of your hand comfortingly. At the same time, it seems like he's drawing strength from you. Judging from their defensive plays today, ever since we played against each other during the group stage, they've been dissecting my habits and playstyle. They probably believed they would play against us again. Isn't this a really bad position for us to be in? And if it drags out, it'd also be really draining for you. The pressure is on, but don't worry too much. Even in this situation, we still won the first game, right? And after playing those first two games, their new defensive playstyle isn't a surprise to us anymore. Having said this, Arthur stops rubbing your fingertips briefly. The gaze he looks at you with evokes a confident smile. Have you noticed that the shots they use against me actually all have something in common? Something in common? Now that I think about it, every time they set a play up against Artem, they place balls to act as obstacle along the road. As long as we avoid them by taking an outside road, in the limited time available, you try to be as concise as possible as you describe your ideas to Artem. Artem nods in encouragement every time you pause to think, also supplementing hints when you occasionally get stuck. After you two organize your thoughts together, you come up with a viable plan to deal with the opponent's new playstyle. Even though we still need to test its usefulness in an actual game, I have a feeling this idea could be the breakthrough we need. Artem lifts up your hand that he is still holding. He then lowers his head briefly, pressing his cheeks against the back of your hand. Analyzing this with you makes me feel a lot more relaxed. Arthur must have already come up with a way to handle it. He's just getting me to analyze it with him to calm me down. Now that we found a way to turn the tide, let's make a comeback together. Full club. As your opponent's last ball falls into the pocket, this semi-final game creates a tough scenario for you and Artem. After entering the knockout stage, this is the first time your score has fallen behind by such a large margin. Although the strategy you and Artem came up with afforded you some advantages in this match, you still failed to turn the tables on your opponents. With our current score, we'll miss the finals if we lose another game. You subconsciously looks up and see Artem leaning against the edge of the table. He is applying cue chalk like it's second nature, staring at the table with a serious expression. Artem is probably still reviewing the game. I shouldn't disturb him yet. Standing silently behind him, you wait until Artem finishes thinking, puts down the chalk, and turns around. You, perhaps not expecting to see you right behind him, a trace of astonishment flashes in Artem's eyes. He then quickly becomes more relaxed. Why are you standing there? Waiting for you, of course. You stand on your tiptoes and raises your hand to gently smooth the last crease lingering between his eyebrows. So, have you thought of a way to deal with our predicament? I do have some new ideas, but before that, I want to hear your thoughts. My thoughts? It just so happens that I have a plan to tell you about. You briefly explain the strategy you just came up with to Artem. Thanks to the mutual understanding you two have built over time, Artem quickly understands what you mean. Basically, they've obviously analyzed your playstyle carefully, but they didn't pay any attention to me, so my plays will be difficult to predict. Like you said before, my style can easily cause some strategies to fall apart. Maybe I'm your secret weapon. Actually, my new idea was also to use you as the key to turn the tide. Artem can't stop smiling at the fact that Chu had the same idea again. He lifted his hand to smooth the strand of hair hanging down in front of your forehead. There's no maybe. You are my secret weapon. And you always have been. His fingers lift your hair and brush against the side of your face in one fell swoop. It's like he is soothing the last traces of unease and anxiety in your heart. It's all up to you now. In that case, let's should push me. Leave it to me. Full club.
오늘 경기가 모두 종료됐습니다. 결승에 올라갈 두 팀은
Rapid drumbeat sound pushing the atmosphere in the room to a tense and enthusiastic climax.
스크린으로 확인하시죠.
Although you already know that you've qualified for the final game, you still turn to view the results display. Seeing your and Artem's team name appear on the big screen suddenly makes this all feel real. It's like you are only one step away from the finish line. All of our efforts hasn't been in vain. We've finally reached this point. As long as we win tomorrow's game, I can get the history of international law book and give it to Artem. I wonder how Artem will react. After the crowd dispersed, you indulge in imagining Artem's reaction. You end up looking at him inevitably as you pack your things.
왜 그렇게 봐요?
I wasn't looking at you. Are my fantastical dreams really that obvious?
이렇게 봤잖아요.
Artem suddenly bends down slightly and levels his gaze with yours. Tiny lights and shadows dance in his eyes, drawing you in. He is rather close to you and has an inexplicable smile on his lips. The heat that starts to spread from your ears makes you understand what he meant. Was I really gazing straight at him like this? No wonder he felt confused. I just think it's a bit unbelievable that we actually made it to the finals.
그동안 노력했으니 당연한 결과죠. 그리고 말했잖아요. 재능 있다고.
His gaze falls on you, as if he's already seen through all of your thoughts. His long fingers brush over the skin between your thumbs and forefinger soothingly.
그게 걱정이었어요? 괜찮아요. 그때까지 아직 시간이 있으니까 내가 가르쳐 줄게요. 그리고 지금까지 해온 걸 봐서는 당구에 소질이 있는 것 같아요. 분명 금방 늘 거예요.
He gently squeezes your hand. There is an unmistakable look of anticipation in his eyes. The conversation back then seems to have taken place just yesterday, but you didn't have a specific goal at the time. But now, in order to get that book and give it to Artem, you have to work harder. Then let's continue practicing. The closer we get to the end, the more focused we should be.
서두를 것 없어요.
Huh? He pulls away the cue in your hand. He then takes your hand and weaves his fingers through yours and clasps them tight.
일단 나랑 어디 좀 가요.
Winding mountain road. The further you head into the countryside, the less traffic you see on the road. You open the window and the cool mountain breeze immediately rushes in. All your fatigue is immediately swept away. You almost can't recall that you embarked on this journey without knowing where you're going. Artem parks the car in a suitable location, and you follow him out of the car. Did we come here to do something?
이유가 있어야 하나요?
The evening breeze gently dances through his bangs, and dim street lights cast a soft outline over his cheeks. His words seem to be magical on such a silent night, slowly soothing all the anxiety in your heart.
그냥 같이 산책도 하고 바람도 쐬고 싶어서요. 어때요?
Of course, it's really nice here. The two of you don't go far, just leaning on the hood of the car and looking into the distance. Dots of lights adorn the sides of the winding road. Further away, they are swallowed up by the night sky, leaving only the shining stars. Maybe it's because your surroundings are too quiet, but Artem's voice seems crisper and clearer than before.
곧 있으면 결승전인데 떨려요?
To be honest, when I was in the pool club, I was a bit nervous. Amidst the silent night, you can't help but lower your voice. But it's much better now. Maybe because it's so quiet and beautiful here, I feel like those messy thoughts are unnecessary.
당신도 참. 내가 먼저 같이 하자고 했던 대회인데도 나보다 훨씬 더 노력하고 있잖아요.
Artem pulls you closer, leans down slightly, and stops just short of touching you.
그동안 고생했어요.
He leans closer, and just when you think he is going to kiss you, he simply touches your foreheads together. A scorching warmth, along with sentiments that are difficult to express in words, passes between this point of contact. It's okay. Actually, I just wanted to. You almost blurt out that you've been working this hard to win the copy of History of International Law. Luckily, you stopped yourself right in time. Artem seems to realize this too, but he doesn't expose you and laughs instead.
전에 이렇게 노력하는 이유를 알려주겠다고 했잖아요. 이제 결승까지 왔는데 말해줄 수 있어요?
I can't say it now precisely because we're in the finals. But I can give you a little hint. You'll find out tomorrow.
내일이요?
Artem frowns slightly as if he's mulling over something. He then raises his gaze after a while to look at you again.
좋아요. 알겠어요. 그럼 내일까지 기다릴게요. 하지만 이걸 기다려야 한다면 다른 건 더 이상 기다리지 않을 거예요.
What? You look at him in confusion, and your voice breaks up abruptly. Warm lips are now pressed against your own, followed by a heated breath. The shadows on the ground stretch longer and longer. They look almost like birds sleeping with their heads resting on each other, like branches swaying and entangling. A breeze passes through the forest in the distance, stirring the leaves and bringing with it Artem's answer.
그야 우리가 결승에 진출한 걸 축하하는 거죠. 이기는 것도 중요하지만 당신과 함께하는 시간이 더 소중해요.
Pool Club. The audience applause sustains for a long time. While you're disappointed, you can't help but feel a sense of admiration at the bottom of your heart. The opponents in the final are really extraordinary. The game just started and they've already run the table. But now that we've come this far, we won't back down either. Your train of thought is interrupted by the calm applause next to you. You turn around and see that Artem is also applauding the opponents to sincerely congratulate them. That play just now was amazing. What do you think? Yeah, it was great, but it looks like the game today isn't going to be easy. Are you worried about that? Don't overthink it. Rather than worrying about winning or losing, I hope you can enjoy the game itself. Relax and focus on each shot. We've been practicing for so long, everything will be fine. Your hands are clasped in secret under the table, and they shake gently with Artem's movement. The relaxing motion takes you far away from the stress of the competition. Even so, Artem's gaze is scorching. His calm words are like the encouragement he gives you before every card session. Artem is right. I shouldn't have too many distracting thoughts in my mind. There's only one final step left before we win the copy of History of International Law, but the first priority is to focus on the tournament itself. I know, from now on, I won't focus on anything other than playing with you. Pool Club. With both sides closely pursuing each other, you once again fall behind. This time, your opponent has already obtained the first match point of the match game. I know I promised Artem to stay focused, but it's still hard to not care at all at a time like this. Artem is still reviewing the situation calmly, but this time it's taking longer than usual. You calm down, stare at the table, and begin to recall the few extremely difficult paths you took to hit the ball previously. You do your best to think of better ways to turn the tables on your opponents. Should I have pushed the ball forward more in the previous shot? You murmur in a lower voice, but you don't expect Artem to hear you talking under your breath. He walks over with a smile and gently holds the tip of your cue. Yes, if you push it a little further, the next shot would have been more difficult for our opponents to make. He takes your hands and leads you to carefully rub the chalk on the tip of your cue. Your ability to plan ahead has improved a lot in the past few days, and your plays are becoming more and more unique. Especially in the last round yesterday, I couldn't even predict several of the shots you made. You planned them so well. It was the same just now. Rather than simply going along with my playstyle, you're already able to think of a better plan independently. As he speaks, he puts down the chalk. He then wraps his palm around your hand that isn't holding the cue. So in the next game, I want you to take the lead. I'll do my best to follow along with you. But this is the final match. The most important game. If you leave it to me, what if? I believe in you. His sure words are like an injection of reassurance. At this moment, the excitement of the tournament and the audience attention both seems to vanish. Only Artem is left in front of you. His hand is covering the back of your hand, transferring his warmth and unbeatable strength. You should believe in me too. I made this decision because you're already good enough. Handing the reins to someone who has only just started playing pool at the most critical moment of the tournament, it sounds like an impulsive gamble. However, Artem is the one making this decision. Instead of feeling anxious before taking the gamble, your heart actually calms down. When he says he believes in you, you are sure that he isn't saying it just to comfort you. It is the trust and appreciation from the bottom of his heart. It's a sense of recognition that allows you to let go of your worry. And even if we really lost, it doesn't matter. We entered the finals together, which is already a special memory. Compared to winning or losing, giving you a more comprehensive experience in this game is what I really care about. As long as that's the case, we can have no regrets, no matter what the outcome is. The hesitation in your heart seals in at this moment. You nod and show your first truly relaxed smile of the day. Then let's work together and play an unforgettable game. Yeah, I have a hunch it's going to be the most amazing game in this tournament. Pool Club. As the confetti cannon sounds one after another, you finally realize that you won the tournament. We won! Arthur, we won!
그러게요. 이겼네요.
Artem holds your ball buckles in one hand. With his other hand, he brushes aside the stray hairs that have fallen over your brows in your excitement.
자, 올해의 우승팀 모시겠습니다.
It feels like it was just yesterday that you and Artem were putting your heads together trying to think of a team name. But now the two of you have already stepped onto the podium to receive your prize. Even if you went back in time and told yourself that day that you would win the tournament, you probably won't believe it.
다시 한번 축하드립니다. 트로피랑 상품 드릴게요.
You and Artem step forward, ready to collectively lift this trophy that belongs to both of you. Pool Club. Thunderous applause and cheers ring in your ears once again, but right now you are only focused on that original German edition of History of International Law. The countless motions of readying the shot, striking the cue ball, and sending balls into the pockets were all for this book, and more specifically, for being able to stand together with your beloved at this moment and enjoy your shared victory.
자, 받으시고요.
The trophy is a bit big, but so Artem takes it, leaving you to take hold of the book.
수상 소감 한마디 부탁드릴게요.
Someone gives the microphone to Artem. He tries to give it to you, but you push it back to him. You move aside a little and let him stand in the middle of the stage. You go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say. He looks at you and nods with a smile. He then clears his throat, casually raises the microphone, and begins.
안녕하세요. 오늘 이 자리에 서게 되어 영광입니다. 우선 당구 클럽의 스태프분들께 원활한 경기 진행에 힘써 주셔서 감사하다는 말씀 드립니다.
His familiar voice now actually sounds somewhat alien as it is played through the speakers. He stands in the spotlight fully at ease, exuding an aura that proclaims that he was born to be applauded and be the focus of the room.
그리고 저희의 상대팀에게도 감사드리고요. 여러분의 노력 끝에 경기를 무사히 마칠 수 있었습니다. 마지막으로
Public speaking is a basic skill for any lawyer. Artem, who has always spoken eloquently in court, pauses for a rare few seconds. He is obviously thinking of what to say. After a moment, Artem turns slightly and looks at you with a direct and fiery gaze. He is the speaker, yet with his intense gaze focused on you, you suddenly feel that you have become the center of attention.
가장 감사한 사람은 표현할 수 없을 정도로 고마운 제 파트너인데요. 그동안 곁에서 같이 노력하고 모든 걸 함께 해줘서 고마워요. 이 자리에 올라오는 순간까지 당신과 함께 할 수 있음에 감사해요. 그럼 앞으로도 날 바라봐줘요. 우리 같이 손잡고 계속해서 나아가자고요.
He lowers the microphone and walks toward you step by step. The cheers, applause, and music all disappears as if they have entered a vacuum. This moment belongs to you and him only. There is only the two of you holding each other's hands with fingers interlocked, and you only have eyes for each other.
네, 그럼 수상 소감은 여기까지 하겠습니다. 모두들 행복한 밤 되시길 바랍니다.
There is another burst of applause. You've already lost count of how many times you've heard applause tonight. The emotions of joy and relief are like a tide, almost swallowing you up at this moment. Everything that follows feels like the result of pressing a fast forward button. It's all hazy and foggy, but it barely matters to you. By the time you are alone again, it's already after the party has ended. You return to the pool table where Artem taught you how to play for the first time. Pool club.
피곤해요?
Perhaps due to the excessive socializing tonight, Artem's voice has a trace of fatigue hoarseness. It sounds surprisingly nice. I'm okay. It seems that you're more tired than I am. Sit down and rest for a bit. While he is getting seated, you place all the pool balls and start playing again. One ball after another, you imitate what Artem was doing the first time you saw him playing, hitting balls into the pockets one after another. Soon, there is only one ball left on the table. Artem, I'm just one ball away from running the table. This is my first time getting this far. You happily show off your achievement to Artem, feeling even more excited about this than the fact that you won the tournament today. You were just playing for fun, but you didn't expect to actually get so close to that goal. It is perhaps a combination of good luck and the results of your recent intense training. But that last ball is in a pretty tough position.
이때까지 잘해왔잖아요. 다른 건 신경 쓰지 말고 지금은 그 공만 넣는다고 생각해요.
Different from his usual calmness and composure, Artem looks more relaxed at this moment as he leans lazily against the sofa. Each one of his words lands in your heart. You calm down and take another shot. The ball draws an arc across the table, heading towards the target pocket, but without much speed. You don't even dare to look at the table anymore. Suddenly, you hear the crisp sound of the ball falling into the pocket and hitting the other balls already in there. I did it! I really did it!
말했잖아요. 재능 있다고.
Even if I have talent, it's also thanks to your great teaching. You take the copy of History of International Law that you put aside and hand it to Artem. I know this isn't exactly a gift I earned all by myself. Still, as my teacher, I hope you can appreciate my small thank you gift. Koshwing. You look at Artem and tell him everything you were thinking. I know you've always had the habit of collecting original edition law books in German. So I want to give you my portion of this book as well, so you can expand your collection. Artem looks at the book in your hands, then back at you as if he is holding back some emotion.
그래서 그렇게 노력하면서 이유를 안 알려줬던 거예요?
Yes, what's wrong?
그냥 조금 의외여서요. 다양한 경우를 생각했었는데 이건 예상하지 못했거든요.
I was acting pretty secretive before.
당신 때문이 아니에요. 내가 생각이 많았던 건
Having said this, Artem looks a little shy himself, which is a rare occurrence. Because of what? He doesn't answer you directly, but looks at the book again.
당신이 한 말들 사실 나도 하고 싶었던 말이거든요.
You look at Artem's resigned expression and suddenly realize that you and him were thinking the same thing. History of International Law is a compulsory read for every law student. Since you know of its value, Artem would naturally know it too. You knew that Artem would definitely like it, but failed to consider that he would be thinking the exact same thing.
법학 사적의 원문을 읽어보면 쉽게 이해할 수 있을 거예요. 나중에 업무적으로나 시험에서 큰 도움도 될 테고요. 학술적 가치는 그렇다 치고 당신 말대로 이 책은 법조계에 있는 사람이라면 누구든 가치를 높이 살 책이죠. 그래서 이 책이 상품으로 나온다는 걸 안 순간부터 대회에 참가할 생각이었어요.
He explains his thoughts with a warm smile lingering on the corners of his lips. Then why didn't you just tell me? As soon as you voiced this question, you realized the answer. When I first found out about this book, I also wanted to hide it from Arthur because I didn't want to put too much pressure on him.
우리가 같이 탄 상품이지만 당신이 이 책을 가졌으면 좋겠다는 생각이 들었는데 이 생각을 당신한테 말하면 부담이 될 것 같았거든요. 이기기보다는 그저 경기를 즐겼으면 하는 마음이 컸죠. 다만 당신도 이렇게 생각할 줄은 몰랐네요.
Although Artem sounds a little resigned, his indulgence toward you becomes even more apparent. Looks like being too in tune with each other wins a surprise sometimes. A little mix-up, two people who care about each other than an original German edition book with high value as a collector's item. You look at each other and smile. He takes your hand, picks up your things, and leads you away. Unlike the bustle from before, the pool club is now playing soft music. Even if you lower your voices, you can still hear each other's words clearly. We don't need to give it back and forth like this, right? After all, we're taking it home.
그러게요. 그럼 다음 주말에 서재를 정리하면서 이 선물을 어디에 둘지 한번 생각해 볼까요?
Welcome.
그리고 그 다음 주말이나 다음에 또 같이 당구 치러 와요.
Okay, deal.
그럼요.
There is a low female voice mixed with the melody of the saxophone, echoing the beauty of the evening and echoing in the sprawling night. Both this night and this season feel like a long, happy moment, all because you are spending it with him.